Hello, this is Jarrett. I'm playing Timberborn. I'm going to start a game on hard mode. I think I've got all the pieces together to be able to survive hard mode, so let's see. I think the biggest surprise in this game I've found out so far is how much water these beavers need, both either being consumed for irrigation or water consumption. So basically, got gathering for some wood, berries, and very quickly building a dam. So obviously water pump because beavers need water to survive. But the main focus right now is building a dam because I want to close this river off in the drought season. All right, so watching those beavers try to finish off this dam, the sooner that happens, the better position we're going to be. So the beavers are making progress, and I don't have a set of stairs going down, so they can only build the one that they can connect to next. And I'll have to be careful to make sure that roadway goes down it if it's too far, but I think we should be good. And this is the main strategy, so it basically gives me water for consumption of the beavers, because that pump is going to sit in water instead of being dry land, as well as irrigation or food. I'll be able to grow stuff year round. So water is everything. Water is food, and just needed to be consumed by beavers themselves. So one more tile here. There it is. All right. I don't just about to go into a drought season here, so it's perfect. You can see water is still flowing over the top, but some is being blocked in the bottom. And that is what's being used by the water pumps to be able to feed or water or the thirst of the beavers. So we're in drought, which means the river itself is not flowing, at least upstream, but I've blocked it, so I even have a little inlet on the side for extra area for irrigation. But there it is. It's a drought season, but I'm kind of unaffected. I have water pump. I didn't need a ton of storage. In fact, I don't even have a single storage for water yet. I'm constructing a farm, but when that's constructed, I'll be able to grow some carrots year round regardless of the drought. So this is extremely good so far. First farm has been created and the beavers are planting some carrots. So that's going to be my main food source. Nice thing about carrots is they grow really quickly. And some foods like potatoes you actually can't eat without converting to roasted potatoes. Research center for some science research. First crop of carrots isn't going to be ready yet, so I expanded out to this area to gather some blueberries. One problem with my game last time was not growing trees early enough, so I'm building some power to be able to construct planks or plank building spot so that I can get a forestry and start planting plants, pine and eventually maple. So there's a water wheel that's going to provide water, or not water, but power to the production of the planks. That's not going to run year round. During a drought season, that will turn off. But here you can see that despite the fact that I have a dam, I'm not in drought season, I'm still getting power from it. So that's even now connected to a place that I'm going to produce planks. And between the science and the planks, I can get a forestry station, which I'm constructing now. And that's going to be the highest priority. I want to start to plant some pines as soon as that thing exists, because I'll need a continual source. Oh, there it is. I'll need a continue. Oh no, it's not. I've tricked myself. That'll give me some wood. All right, so I've constructed the forestry hut there, and the forester is going to go around and plant what I've indicated, which is pine. That's a faster growing tree. I'm just going to grow pine, and then I'll upgrade to maple once I have more comfortable feeling about where I am. I'm being tested with another drought. The droughts are getting longer and longer, and that is going to mean that I'm heavily reliant on this dam system to be able to keep the water so that my beavers can drink and produce food. But right now I'm in a very healthy situation. Just continuing to expand to the side, collecting more wood from over there. Starting to be comfortable enough, I figure my beavers can actually sleep inside instead of out in the wild. And that's going to, actually I have no idea, I assume that it's a quality of life thing. They don't really complain, at least early on in the game, but there it is, places for them to be able to sleep at night. I have a really good feeling about the number of pine that I have on the other side of the river, so I'm going to put a forester here and start planting some maples. They take longer to grow, but you do get more wood from them. I've made it to the end of the drought. That's going to refill the river, which I'm essentially living off of, and it will also flow into the bigger lake down the hill or down the way, which will allow the water wheel to run. So I'll be able to produce planks again because I haven't been able to produce that during the drought. I had an idle beaver, so I figure I might as well get an extra science station in so that I can grow my amount of research points a little bit quicker. Starting to actually relax a bit. Speaking of which, I'm sure they're relaxing by the fire pit, but I'm relaxing on hard mode, which I did not think I would do. So that dam is pretty powerful for what it can do for me. This is the first pine that I've planted in the game that is now harvest ready. So I'm feeling like in a decent place with logs in this game. Thanks to my science research team, I was able to build this wind power. That's going to allow me to run it even during a drought as long as it's windy, so I can produce planks more often. Decided to build a third science station, so that's going to produce even more research. I also have more storage, and I put that around the farm because the primary thing I want to store right now is carrots. I have my eye on some advanced building, so I'm building some gears. That's going to be required to build some of the more advanced stuff that I'm going to unlock in time, and hopefully allow me to survive in hard mode in Timberborn. I decided to build a builder's hut. The first time doing so gives me access to more builders because I find they're a little bit slow with some of the things that I'm creating. Making a little bit of an improvement, I'm actually moving the dam further down, so I'm actually going to destroy 2 of these blocks and build a bridge. So I've got enough science to be able to unlock the bridge as well. That's going to allow me to that's going to do is store a little bit of extra water, but I'll also have access to more irrigated land. So in the northern areas, I'm not actually able to grow trees year round. If I push that water, currently in a drought, so that's not going down, but eventually it will. It will move its way to the higher up dam, and as long as I can get a bridge, I'll have to delete the path. Find the roads and bridges are a little bit picky. It should be smart enough just to put a road over a road, but that's fine. So yeah, it is an early access game, so maybe they will change that. But that's going to be a bridge for the forester to get access to the other side of the river. This moment, I'm in shock. I did not expect the river to dry up. It was a long enough drought that I don't think it was the beavers drinking the water. I think it's just the slower irrigation will eventually dry it out, or maybe that in just combination with the water pumps. This is a surprise, so I'm going to have to adapt somehow. I've made it through the drought that actually hit me in terms of my farming. I'm just 4 pieces of water or units of water. So yeah, not at death's door, but not feeling great. So what I did in response to this, I actually built a dam with better technology. It actually has a floodgate, and these ones I'll be able to configure to either fully block water, unlike the regular dam, and open it as needed. I'm just going to have to operate that within each season. So here is the finished improved dam. It can fully stop the water, unlike the other one that was letting a little bit of water go on top, but I can also control it. So if I'm in the non-drought season, then I can actually open it, let it go through, or in drought season, close it off. So my first maples that the forester over the other side of the river has planted is ready for harvest. My improved dam is ready to be tested, so I close it off just as the drought starts, and that is going to block more water than the previous one. That's the hope. Anyways, such that it won't dry out before the end of the drought. I'm actually worried whether it will dry out or not, so I'm building a second dam upstream to store even more water, and I can decide when that can be opened and closed. So at the end of this drought, I still had water left over, and here is my first upstream one, so I'm going to actually turn that off for a second, and that will prevent water from going down, And that's probably, well, what I'm expecting to happen is that will start to back up over here and going out in different directions. But I wanted to go in this lake area, this drop off, to be able to collect some water, creating more irrigation land. Just watching the dam create a lake that's going to show up and create more irrigation land around. Nothing that I can really use other than a tiny bit of an area, but you know, why not? But that's not really the purpose. The purpose is to store more water during the drought season. Kind of experimenting at this part, to be honest. Just curious what was going to happen if I blocked this off long term. And yeah, kind of as I thought, the water is starting to overflow. So I'm going to have to open up that upstream dam and make sure it only gets closed when it's the early stages of the drought season. And I'll see how long it takes after this is blocked to be able to, or opened rather, to be able to clear out. Fortunately, no buildings up there, but I'm actually gonna build a second levee. I think I need 2 of them to get the amount of water through. It's just that just gives me more options. Heading now towards the next drought. So I actually have 2 rivers. I've got a lake up there to the north that I can't really use, it's just there, but there's 2 rivers that I have to pull on if I need water. The downward river is basically where my pumps are and where I have my farm. But this one up here, I have the ability to fill the second one if the second one were ever to dry, which I'm starting to worry might eventually happen, though I think we're fine at this point in the game. Okay, just got paranoid again about the amount of water that I need to store. So I actually created a second district. You can see gate there. I've got the district center. The purpose is I want to build over in an area that I don't have access to. You can only build so far from those little structures. So this town or this district has water. I built a farm, and that's the 2 main things. Once I migrate some of these beavers over, is I want food and water. I can send goods from one district to the other, well, with some equipment, but I prefer them to be self-sustainable, which I think they will be, because of that lake. I actually have a little bit of irrigation for the farm to be able to grow stuff, so that's actually quite exciting. And my main thing is a dam that I'm building over the left side, which I'll show later. The river has started up again, so I'm going to open up the floodgates to allow water to go through, powering my water wheel and preventing flooding from the northern part of this area, because I actually have a city district up there, and they're going to construct a second dam, which I'm hoping to store a mega amount of water, because water is entirely about surviving this game. You don't have water, you're not going to survive either food or thirst. You have lots of water, you're going to do well. So learning dams, I would say, is probably the most important thing in this game, in learning how to use them to store a lot of water when the river's running, because when it dries out, you need to rely on a lot of it. So here I'm actually got a storage area to have stuff dropped off in this district, as well as I'm planting the first carrots, so food will be self-sustainable. Also an area for water and blueberry picking. This is a funny looking building, pretty big. I wasn't expecting it to be this big when I built it, but there it is. So what this does, it allows me to send resources from one district to the other. So the districts are kind of like very isolated type of centers, unless you explicitly say I want logs to be sent over. And the reason for that is I need to build a dam, and I need a lot of logs to build that dam out of. So a lot of complicated building. Nice thing is you don't need resources to build those two. So on the other side, I can see here my logs are starting to arrive. The beaver that works at the giant building is taking logs that are dropped off there to that drop-off location, eventually being used to build a dam. This is my first larger residence. I wasn't expecting the door to be at the top, but that's how the beavers get in and out of this one. I'm opening the floodgates for a drought that has ended, but I'm going to remember to open both of them. Otherwise, I'll get a little bit of flooding. If you get flooding like this, don't really worry about it. As long as you have the floodgate to quickly open it, it dries up really quickly. So flooding is not a good thing, but it is easy to fix if you've got the proper floodgates. It's just something you've got to continue to watch. So this seems like the wild, wild west if you're going to live in this district, but there are many things that make the wall. Built my first underground storage to be able to store 4,000 units of items. Largely, I'm hoping to be carrots. And that's going to allow a good amount of food storage just in case something goes wrong at some point. All right, my wall is created here. So that is going to be a levee to stop water from overflowing from this point. So the lower river has dried up. This is just showing me opening this dam here. And no water comes out. I guess I have to drop it the full way. So this second supply of river upstream is now being sent into the lower river, and that allows me to continue growing things, including pines there that are coming back to life, as well as the water pumps. So that is sort of my backup water when I run out, which I have. Even with the new levee on further downstream, I still don't have enough water with just the lower part. So it really does require the upper part of the river to refresh itself at some point during the drought. It may have been the fact that I created that large water storage, that the pump was running more regularly, but I'm glad to have this backup option, because I don't want to be caught with this lower river ever empty again. That's my hope. Though I am worried looking at this thing, because that wasn't a lot of water. Wow, this is more of a challenge than I had thought. So just a tiny piece of water left, allowing me to grow some pine and even decided to plant some carrots, because I'm very concerned with the situation. Fortunately, it didn't take long for the drought to end, but now I'm testing out the fact that I've got a block off at the top area, a third upper dam, which is under construction. But this is going to allow me to store a lot of water, and we'll test this out. So this is a third dam, and actually is height of 2. So that third dam I've closed off, and that is going to cause this water that's flowing into back up. So there it is. It will start to fill that little lake area. But it's not going to, at least as long as I can balance it out, over flood here. Or at least it has some tiles there to be able to stop the bulk of that going through. And if that's the case, then I have a gigantic river, or a lake, to be able to store water. So during the next drought, I'll not only be able to call on just the second river, but it's in fact an entire lake's worth of water. And hoping to see this allow me to survive and get through a drought without any issues. And not just now, but more long term. So actually you can see the double actually have one tile gate and then a 2 tile gate, just because I was experimenting. I'm wishing I made them both 2, but I think I may be able to survive with it set up this way. So yeah, I've got 3 channels of water, the giant one, the little tiny one, and then the actual river, which is used for growing and water for them to eat or drink. So at this point, I'm finding it difficult to balance what values this gate should have versus just with the goal of preventing this, which is over flooding this spot here, because I want to be able to create a giant lake, but I don't want water to overflow, because that's going to affect my settlement in a bad way. But I'm thinking I might want to make that a 2 tile wall over the left. For the meantime, I still have more room to open these gates, so I think that's what I need to do, is just get that open and start to drain the drain this huge, well, not drain the lake, but just drain it enough such that it's not overflowing over that side. And then what I think I'll do, I'll go back to the second district and get my beavers to create a 2-tile wall instead of just the 1 tile that they have now. So my plan now that I have the giant lake is to make this little inlet out of what their levees, and that's going to allow greater irrigation. So right now it just increased it by a little bit, but I plan to send this out in each direction for a lot of area for growing trees and growing crops, and allowing me to expand the number of settlements potentially that I have now. I think I'm going to end the video here, but what I've done is I've got I haven't even used these maples, but they're there. I have actually what's surprisingly not that many buildings for being at this point in the game. It doesn't seem to be as important placing the buildings or managing like a ton of buildings. There's a small amount of them. My mind, it's all about the dam and water control, because water is survival in this game. Once you learn what building you need, that's pretty easy. But without water, you can't grow anything, and you can't pump water for your beavers to be able to eat. So just expanding this pathway here. Whoops, wrong tile. What this is going to allow me to do is just to have greater irrigation from this giant lake. And that's a lot better than building tons of irrigation towers, filling them with pumps. Also here, starting the initial process for the top level, just for some protection on that. But that's it. I'm feeling I was worried at the time. I'm pretty confident with not just a lake or a river as backup, but a giant lake. So that's going to allow me to open that floodgate whenever I need to top up my lake or river that's downstream to be able to grow food and survive in this game. Thanks for watching, and see you in another video.